Are you done? Well, hello, friends. It's Wayne Polson coming to you from Heartwood, right next door to SM Heartland, as usual. And I am here to tell you that I'm having a great day. That's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to say something. I might as well say something real positive, right? So, folks, how you doing? I hope you're doing great out there. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I got some good news. This weekend, we're expecting a visitor, Angie K from Wisconsin, one of my earliest subscribers. I'm not sure. She might have been number one. No, I think I might have been number one. I think I subscribed. Yeah, I was the first one, but she was right in there, folks. So Angie K's coming to visit. She'll be driving tomorrow and arrive here the next day on Friday. And we're going to spend Friday and Saturday together just having a hoot here at Heartwood and Heartland. We're going to just give her a tour of the whole thing, all 60 some acres of it. So, but that's not really what I'm here to talk about today. Today I want to give you part 4 of how I'm building my pole barn, and I'm not building it, I'm contracting it out, but I'm doing the preparation work like removing trees. You guys saw that in the first 3 parts. If you haven't, check out that link right up there. And the title, I know, is not called How to Build a Building. I think it's called something like, Trees and Ladders. What do trees, ladders, dead chickens, and roosters? It's some stupid name. The brain is just eroding quickly, folks. And that's why you get titles like that. So, yep, that's it. Hey, I want to give thanks to a couple people. John Gray, thank you for loaning me your laser leveler here. I really appreciate that. John Gray, my good buddy from Kim Bolton, you're the man. And I want to thank Tom Hockenbraw. Tom Hockenbraw was the first person to introduce me to laser leveling, or differential leveling, like I'm going to be using today. We started that back on Heartland before we even owned Heartwood. We had a nasty driveway, about 100 feet or so of just deep mud. There's a fly crawling around the lens. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but it was right there. And to deal with that mud, I was kind of stuck. I didn't know what to do other than fiddle with it. Tom came out with his laser leveling system, and we shot the grade out there, and he gave me some specifications and said, hey, if you do this, you do that, you add this, you take away that, you're going to have better drainage. So I did all of that, and guess what, folks? It's done. It's pristine. It's great. All the water just sloughs off into the ravine. The driveway stays nice and dry. We're good. I didn't even have to put any pipes in or anything like that. Nothing. So Tom Hockenbraw, thank you so much for passing that information on to me. So here we go. I'm going to be shooting this grade using differential leveling technique. One of the things I want to tell you is that I'm going to be referencing 9 measurements where the building site is. And I didn't have to do 9 measurements. I'm taking 9 readings because I want to enter those 9 readings into an Excel spreadsheet and develop a contour map that will give me a visual idea of what the grade is like over there. So it'll let me know where I can move dirt from and to and things like that. So not only am I taking those 9 readings, but I'm taking them in reference to the garage floor. And the only reason I'm doing that is just so I know roughly how low or how high the building floor is going to be relative to the garage floor. Originally, I thought, well, maybe I'll someday tie those 2 floors together tie the 2 buildings together, and then I'd just have a level connection between the 2 floors. But I'm not going to pour a floor in this new building at all. Nothing. It's just going to be dirt. I'm just going to leave it that way. So I'm not doing all that. I'm just doing this benchmark referencing of the garage floor just for fun, to bring you guys along with something interesting. I think it's interesting anyway. All right, let me quit gabbing here. Let me show you what's going on. Let me give you the lay of the land. So what I have right here, of course, is the laser leveler. Let me change the focus on this thing and move you guys over. Now, this leveler is set up right now to look right into, I don't know if you can see it very well here, but yeah, it's a little rough, isn't it? But right in there is a gap that I'll be putting my grade rod on to get the benchmark reference for the garage floor. That location of the laser, though, also gives me access to, let me take you up here. All right, to these other points, the 9 points. And they're basically roughly, right there's the southwest. There's a center point, and then there's a south or a northwest point. And there's a center point between the north and the east. And here's the northeast corner, center point here. Here is a southeast corner, and then a center here, and then there's one right smack in the middle. I'm going to be measuring those 9 points, and we're going to see what we end up with. And that's going to be, I'm going to blind you guys here for a second. And relative to that laser right there. That's going to do it all, folks. All right, friends, I'm in the garage, and I'm going to be shooting for the laser. The laser's parked right there between the 2 gas tanks. And I'm going to shoot this location first. This is going to be my benchmark. All right, so I'm going to turn the laser on, or the detector on, and I'm going to turn the speaker on. And then, oh, wow, we're right there. I am above it. I know that by the slow tone. So I'm going to come down. There's my high tone, so I'm below the laser spot. And there's a steady tone. I'm right on. All right, and that measurement, if you guys want to see it, that's the measurement right there. All right, before we get too far along in the video, I just want to interrupt and get into a little explanation of how to read the grade rod or the stadia rod, grade stick, whatever people want to call it. There are 2 sides to this rod. There's a yellow side on the back that contains feet and inches, and it breaks it down to fractions of an inch, like eighths of an inch, I believe is the finest resolution. I don't like using that side because when you get done with all of your measurements, you have to do all your calculations based on inches and fractions of inches, and it gets a little complicated. This side is decimal feet. It's arranged in feet, designated by these red markers here, and it's also divided into 10 divisions, which would be the tenths of feet. And then each tenth of a foot is divided into 10 segments, which would be hundredths of a foot. All right, so I also want to note that between each foot mark, from 4 to 5, for instance, there's a little cue or reference to which range you're in. If you're above 4 feet, you'll see these 4-foot references on the rod indicating, okay, your measurement is below 5 feet, but it's above 4 feet. And you'll have the same thing above the 5-foot mark and so on. So these little red cues are just ways for you to quickly identify where you are to eliminate certain errors. Let's talk about these tick marks. I'm going to call the black marks tick marks. I don't know, there's probably some proper name for them, but then between each tick mark there is a white space, so I'll just call those spaces. It's important to note that on the grade stick, the grade rod, that each space and each tick mark are equal in height. And in this particular case, they're equal to 1/100th of a foot. So if I were to count these up, if I count up the spaces and the tick marks, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there's 10 1/100ths. It's also important to note that there are 3 tick marks that are kind of unique. This particular tick mark and this tick mark are longer than this center tick mark. All 3 of them have little points on them. The points on these longer tick marks are pointing to an exact inch. Down here as well, this would be exactly 8 inches. This is exactly 9 inches. This particular mark, the shorter one with the point, that point is indicating to you the halfway mark between 8/10 and 9/10. So this would be right here 5/100ths of a foot. Okay, so it's important to know that if you're making a measurement, you need to be aware of whether you're on the top or the bottom of these tick marks. And if you're at a point, you know you're at a 1/2 inch or you're at an even inch boundary right here and here. So let's set up an example here. I'm going to bring my detector down. Now this detector is set up so that there's a laser detection window right here. This can detect a laser scan line anywhere between the bottom of this array to the top of this array. And there's a red line right here that indicates dead on. If your laser spot is hitting right here, then you know that this detector is on the same plane. That particular mark is the same plane as the laser. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. I've got a laser scanning right now. And typically what you would do is when you're trying to find where the laser beam is scanning, you would move this device up or down. And you notice as I move it down, you see these little arrows here and here. If the arrow is pointing upward, that means the laser spot is above your reference line. Now it's important also to note that this reference line is repeated here on the side of the case. Right here, there's a little V mark there. And also these 2 points right here on this bracket will indicate what the actual location is of the laser spot on the grade rod. So anyway, I'm below the laser spot, so I need to push up a little bit. And as I push up, you'll notice that that arrow will turn into a straight line between 2 smaller arrows. That indicates right there that I'm right in line with the laser. This mark right here and these other reference points are now pointing to where the laser is scanning on the grade rod. If I go above that point, you'll see the arrow switches to a down arrow saying, oh, you're above it, you need to go down, and you just adjust this until you get a straight line, just like that. Now there's also an audio cue. A lot of times, I use this most of the time because it gives you immediate feedback audibly as to where you are. If you're below the laser scan line, you get a high frequency tone like that, telling you to move upward. If you're above the scan line, you get a slower rate beep telling you to go downward. And when you're right on, you get a steady state tone like that. All right, so we have a steady state tone right there indicating that we are now on the same plane as the laser. So our measurement can be taken between these 2 black tips of this bracket right here. And based on how we discussed all of this earlier, we can see a reference point here to the 4-foot mark. So we know we're above the 4-foot mark just by quickly looking at this or looking at this here. So we immediately have 4 feet. We're below 7/10. All right, and so that means we have just passed the 6. Here's our 6.5, or our, let's read it properly. Here is our 4.65 mark right there, 4.65. So to figure out where we are, we can start there and go 4.66, 4.67, and then right here is 4.68. And if we're between these 2 tick marks here, we normally round it down to the even tick mark or the even measurement. So this would be 4.68 feet, and we would record that as our measurement. So I hope that's clear as mud for you folks. It's the best way I can explain it. Forgive me for all the stuttering and stammering in that discussion, but this is stuff I still reinforce to myself. I'm not a professional at this. I don't do this for a living, so I don't see this every day of my life. But I have discovered this method to be very useful for me. I don't own this setup here. I don't own the laser leveling system. This was given to me, or I should say loaned to me by my friend John Gray. John, out there in Kim Bolton, thank you so much for letting me use your equipment. And I was originally introduced to all of this technology by Tom Hockenbraugh years ago while we were working on a drainage problem over at SM Heartland. So I hope I've hit all the right things here to help you get a better understanding of how we're going to go forward through this video reading this grade rod. Here we go, back to the video. So how would you read that? I read that as 5 feet, 5.4, so 5.4, 5.41, 5.42, 5.42 feet. That's going to be my benchmark. So let me document that. All right, folks, sorry about that. I forgot to turn my GoPro on. Let me just reiterate what I've already done here. So this station is called BM for benchmark. It's the garage floor. The height that I'm measuring of the laser, which is the back sight reading, is 5.42 feet. I put that measurement in here. And a back sight reading is anytime you're measuring the elevation of a known point, anytime you're taking a reading from a known elevation, let me put it that way. So this is a known elevation that I'm going to call 0 because it's a reference. So this is the height of the laser above that particular elevation, which is a known elevation. So that's going to make my instrument height equal to 0 plus 5.42, which will be 5.42 feet. All right, so the next 9 readings are all going to be foresight readings. Foresight readings are readings taken from unknown elevations. So we're going to do those next. All right, so just to give you an idea, I have 9 locations marked out here, and this is the south boundary. So I'm going to make this into a 3x3 grid or 3x3 chart. So I'm going to call this south, the middle one will be called center, the far one will be called north. And then for the other axis, this will be called west. Scout, what's the problem? That'll be called center. And then the far one over there will be called east. That'll give me a way to know these where these axes intersect. All right, so let's get a measurement here. Pretty close already. We're a little high. Okay, we'll call it there. And I'm going to say that that is, man, that's pretty close. That is 5.41. Let me change the exposure here a little bit. How's that? All right, this is my south point, and we said it's not a backsight reading. I'm going to go to the foresight column. This is a foresight reading because I don't know the elevation of this particular point. So it measured at 5.41 feet. All right, we're going to do all this. We're going to do all this math later. We're going to move on to the next point for right now. All right, let's get a reading here. This is the center. I better turn it on first. Get some speaker. Let's see, I think we're down lower. There it is. All right, we're going to call that one 4.99. No, 4.98. Tell me what you think. 4.98. Can you see that? All right, so we're going to document this point as the center. 4.98 feet. Let's go to the next point. Okay, so here I am on the east point. This is southeast, actually. Okay, turn on the laser, or turn on the detector. All right, so let me document this as the southeast corner. We said it measured at 4.33 feet. I may change this later. We'll talk about that as time goes on here. Okay, so this is the center on the west boundary, and we're going to call that 5.58. All right, so I'm going to call this the middle for some reason, because it's right in the middle of all 9 of them. And we said that was going to be 5.06. 5.06. All right, so I'm going to call this the center east. 4.70. I know there's no rhyme or reason here. This probably should have been called center south. and this one should have been called Center West. Yeah, and this probably should be Southwest, and middle is just middle. So I think we're okay there if I do that. All right, so we're going to call this Northwest corner, and 5.94 feet. All right, this is north, or center north rather, and we have 5.42 feet. We'll document that as the northeast corner, 5.00 feet. All right, let's do the math. All right, folks, so here's what I did. Instead of leaving it all on paper, I thought I'd try to make it a little bit easier to demonstrate to you and to myself what it is I can do with these measurements. I took the paper form basically and recreated it here in this Excel spreadsheet. And across the header line here, I have my station, the location of the measurement. I have my back sight reading here. I have my instrument height here and the foresight reading here, and then the final elevation here. The first station in the measurement was the benchmark, which was the garage floor. The garage floor measured 5.42 feet, and we assigned it an elevation of 0 feet. So to come up with this 5.42 height of instrument, we took the elevation of the benchmark, EBM, and we added the backside reading to it. We came up with HI. So this is HI. Now, as a result of this HI measurement, now this HI measurement becomes the reference for all of the 9 foresight readings. And as you can see here, this final column is the elevation of all of those points relative to the garage floor. So for the foresight reading on the southwest corner, we came up with 5.41. You subtract, and here's the formula here, you take the elevation of X, it's equal to the instrument height minus the foresight reading. So we're taking the instrument height minus 5.41 gives us 0.01 feet, difference from the garage floor. And you can see for the south center measurement, we measured 4.98. 5.42 minus 4.98 equals 0.44 feet above the benchmark, and so on down the line here. And I took these values here, all 9 of these elevations, and I entered them into a matrix here. And the chart that you see down here is based on these coordinates. Okay, so we have the x-axis being the west, center, and east. And then we have this, the y-axis is going to be south, center, and north. So if you look at it down here, we see we have west and south. So this is the southwest corner down in this location. This is south center, and this is, of course, southeast. Then we have center east, center center, and center west over here. And then up here we have northwest, north center, and then northeast. And I chose a contour map for this chart because I wanted to give some kind of a graphical representation of the elevation differences in that building site. And as you can see here, using this 5.42 reference up here, this deep purple color in the southeast corner is saying that we have anywhere from 1 to 1.5 feet of elevation above the garage floor. And over here on the opposite side, you see this little bitty sliver of this deeper blue color, which says we're as much as a negative 1 foot below the garage floor. And then everything else is in between. Well, this means I got to move a bunch of dirt from this southeast corner all the way over to this side over here to get this to sort of level out. I would have to take 1 to 1.5 feet right out of this little corner here. So what I did is I took an average of all of these foresight readings, came up with 5.16 as the average, basically the average elevation, if you will, or the average foresight reading. And I'm going to use that as my my reference now. So I'm going to put that up here, 5.16. So basically I'm referencing everything in this chart, or I'm referencing everything, all of these measurements, to an average elevational reference, if you will. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. So now that I put this in there, let me hit enter. All these numbers change, and you notice what happens? This chart shifted in the northwest direction. So now I have less amount of dirt to remove depth-wise. Now the depth is only as much as a foot, as you can see down here. So this means that, and then over here, this extreme became, it's still the same, but now I'll be moving more dirt. I'll be moving less dirt from this half of the chart over to this half. And hopefully that means more efficient redistribution of the dirt in there to get this pad level. And it's going to be above the garage floor. And the way I know that is because right here, this 5.16, if I go back to if I put my 5.42 reference back in here for the height above height of the instrument, you can see right here that now the elevation of this average point is an average of 1/4 of a foot above, because it's positive, above the garage floor. I may have been saying basement floor. I hope I didn't do that, but anyway, I meant garage floor. So I can live with that. That's 1/4 of a foot. That's what, 3 inches? So that's fine. I'm going to be 3 inches above the basement floor. See, I just said basement, the garage floor. So there you go, folks. So that is my method that I'm going to follow. I don't know if it's correct or not. It's just the way I'm going to do it. So let me put this reference back in here, 5.16. And you see that the chart shifted. I think it's going to be a lot easier to redistribute less dirt to these areas over here, and keep from getting like this corner really deep. I don't want this corner to be so deep, this southeast corner. I hope this works. We're going to try it out. I'm going to try to stick this in the video. If you like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know that too. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, look who's coming down the trail. None other than the princess herself, Suze the Q. There's Suze the Q. How was your ride? How was it? She was good. Oh, I'm tripping over the tripod. Ouch, dang it. I need a better cameraman. All right. Yeah. So, as I was saying, leave your comments down below, and I look forward to seeing those. This is kind of a weird video because it's kind of been a patchwork, because I already did the survey, and before I shot the introduction, it's just weird. I've never done things like that. I'm a serial person. I do things in order, and it's hard for me to be abstract, but we'll see how this goes. So if I don't have any video after this, I'll see you in the next video somewhere down the road, okay? So y'all be kind in your neighborhoods, be kind to your families, be kind to somebody you cannot stand, and reap the reward. Be kind to somebody you can't stand and reap the reward. Over and out.